here we go, getting started on this week's long run. Gonna be shooting for, it's gonna be 5 hours. I think we're gonna try to hit between 25 and 27 miles, kind of whatever we get to in there. But this is gonna be a good one. I'm gonna bring you guys along for kind of my thought process on how I get ready for them. My pre-race or pre-long run nutrition, those are kind of the same thing to me. Kind of where my mind goes during these runs. Okay, so we are not even a mile into this, and I'm having to run back to the house. A little bit of gear issue, really gear oversight on my part. I'm used to running in shorts that have the like compression short liner in them, and these new BOA ones do not have that liner. So I can already feel my thighs rubbing a little bit. So we're gonna run home real quick, get some extra anti-chafing cream, and then actually get going on this long run. Okay, so we are a couple miles into this long run today, and I wanted to talk about kind of pre-prep for a long run like this. So really for me that starts about 2 days before. I'm going to start increasing my carbohydrate intake, not by a lot, but by a little bit, and trying to get clean carbs. So just a lot of single ingredient foods. I don't want to eat a bunch of packaged pasta or crap with a lot of processed ingredients, stuff like that. And then I'm also going to be increasing my hydration by a lot of extra electrolytes, a lot of extra water, just really getting my body ready for 3, 4, 5 hours of running. Another aspect of long run preparation is going to be the physical prep. The day before, probably not going to run at all. And if I do run, it'll be slow, zone 2, maybe half an hour, but that kind of just depends on your training schedule. And then I'll add some mobility work, some stretching, just really getting my body nice and loosened up and ready for the next day. Next for pre-run prep is going to be sleep. A couple days leading up to my long run, I'm going to try to make sure that I get full night of sleep, maybe even a couple extra hours, just to make sure that my body is nice and ready for those long miles that are about to come. All right, and then next up is going to be my strategy for nutrition while I'm actually out on the long run. The actual fueling while running is tough for me. I forget to fuel. I just don't feel like eating. So many excuses that I can come up with for it, but my typical strategy is to try to eat probably 100 to 200 calories every hour. Kind of just depends on how my body's feeling that day and how hard I'm running. So race day or long run day is a great time to utilize those carbs like gels, fruit snacks, or anything like that. So it's just quick sugars, quick carbs, maybe even a little bit of caffeine depending on how you're feeling. And then with me being in an ultra build, I might even start mixing in some solid foods, since I will be out on the trail for a lot of hours on race day. Unfortunately, I won't be able to tell you what's going to work for you for your nutrition during your run. It's kind of just one of those things that you're going to have to trial and error, figure it out for yourself. What one person likes, the other won't. What one person's stomach will accept during a run, the others won't. So trial and error, unfortunately. And pairing with what I'm eating is what I'm drinking. I try to keep a lot of fluids going the whole time. I'm carrying 2 bottles today. One's just water, and the other has a bunch of electrolytes and also some extra carbs and calories in it. I'm going to try to get, on the warmer days, a liter, maybe even a little bit more an hour. Today's not too bad, so I can afford to go a little bit less than that. And then also getting a lot of extra sodium. I've noticed if I don't have enough salt intake during my runs, my joints really start to hurt, and what was an easy pace starts feeling pretty difficult. And especially if you start having elevation change up and down, that's already hurting your joints. And then you topple on top of that low sodium, makes for not a very fun run. Now for probably the hardest part of a long run. What do you do for multiple hours on end? Keeping your mind busy for that long can be somewhat challenging. There's a couple different options that I use. One of them, obviously the easiest one, is going to be just find some music or a podcast. Podcast is my favorite. It's just an easy way to kind of check out and get the miles while you're on autopilot. The next and the harder option is just sit with your own thoughts. And this is probably what I do about half the time. I think this makes you a better runner because you can't just sit on autopilot. You have to think about everything that's going on. The pain in your foot, what's causing that, your form, what's hurting. You're really having to think about all of that stuff while it's happening instead of just listening to your podcast or your music and checking out. And then last and probably my favorite, run with other people. This makes running so much easier when you're running with other people and you can trade stories and talk about what's working for you, talk about upcoming races, just anything that comes to mind. So all in all, long runs do take a lot more planning than just your average run. It takes a little bit of course management, takes a little bit of nutrition management, and even a couple days prior, making sure everything's together. But it can be a massive help, not only physically, but mentally, for when you get to race day. You know you can handle that longer mileage and those longer times. So everything that I've talked about may work for you, may not, but this is what I do and what's worked well for me.